History of Sri Lanka. Glorious rule of Tamil Pandyas. In the year 1377 AD, Vijayanagara Vaduga king Kumara Kambanan came forward. Once they captured it, the first job the Telugu Vadugas did was to snatch and take possession of the sacred tooth of Buddha. Don Stephen Senanayak, a Telugu, was the first Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Rise of Telugu Dravidianism after independence. We have to face the fact that when more than 1.5 lakh innocent Tamils were brutally massacred in Aindham, the Dravidian party leaders in power in Tamil Nadu made no attempts to bring about a ceasefire in order to protect the Tamil race. We Tamils only then realized the true color of the Dravidian party leaders who claimed to be defender of Tamil race. The Telugus, who lost power in Tamil Nadu during British rule, as enslaved Tamils as poor daily wage farm labourers on the fertility lands seized by their ancestors, the Vijayanagara Vadugas, and survived on that income. Under the Vijayanagara Vaduga regime and the Kandy Nayakhs Vaduga regime, the Telugu Vadugas and the Brahmin Jews were united in exploiting the Tamil soil. But after British invaded and captured Tamil Nadu, the influence of Telugus won, and thus the Brahmin Jews sought refugees with the British. The Brahmin Jews were the first community to hold all government posts in British rule. This was when the feud between the Telugus and Brahmin Jews began. The Brahmin Jews also showed their dominance in the Congress party started by the British. The Telugus, who could not tolerate it, started a Justice Party. The Justice Party, which is said to have been started to bring social justice to the non-Brahmins, was started to bring back powers to influence Telugu Zamindars. Realizing that it would be difficult as a minority to bring down the Brahmin Jews hegemons, the Telugus decided to include majority Tamils under the banner of self-respect movement and the Dravidian movement. The work was perfected by E.V. Ramasamy Nayakar. The Tamil commoners who lost their lands and rights were ultimately betrayed by the words of these Telugu Zamindars. In the battle between the invader race of Telugus and Brahmin Jews, the native Tamils were sacrificed. Dravidian is the new fake identity cooked up by the Telugus, who realized that they could not keep Tamils by their side for long by pointing out that only Brahmin Jews were illegal migrants. The Telugus pushed the Tamils into the Dravidian sphere. That is, they lied that all non-Brahmins were the one race called Dravidians. The only purpose to bring the Tamils along with the Telugus, Kannadigas, Malayalis under the same umbrella of Dravidian was only to blatantly hide the fact that Vadugas were two illegal migrants to Tamil lands. Atheism and denial of religion, or the cunning disguise of the Vadugas, could not be done without anti-Hinduism. The Vadugas, who formed the Vijayanagara Empire to protect Hinduism back then, today have fooled all Tamils by opposing the Brahmin Jews in completely opposite atheist grab. It was the Telugu kings who brought untouchability into Tamil Nadu upon the guidance of Shankaracharyas. But the Telugus cunningly thirst and blame on Brahmin Jews only as to who was responsible for untouchability and 4-level Varna caste system. Thus the Telugu successfully diverted the Tamils to exploit our forefathers' resource and labor. Telugus blamed only Brahmin Jews for the utter poverty of the Tamil masses. Descendants of the Telugu kings, who were very loyal foot soldiers of the Brahmin Jews, maintained the dominance in Tamil Nadu for their own selfish ends and pretended to be reformers. The fact is that though they faked themselves as feminists, they were hell-bent on degrading women in many ways and also exploited women by marrying them with huge age gaps. Not only that, they maintained the secret alliance with Brahmin Jews. All this was a covert drama of the minority Telugus who deceived the majority Tamils. E.V. Ramasamy Nayakar put forward the demand for the Dravidian nation for a non-existing Dravidian race. Tamils abandoned their Tamil nationalism objectives, believing them. As a result, during the partition of the erstwhile Madras Presidency into linguistic states, all the lands belonging to motherland Tamil Nadu were ceded to next door neighbors. Trivandrum, Neyatrangarai, Nedumangadu, Idukki, Peermade, Palakkad, where the areas were ceded to Kerala, Bangalore and Kolar fields to Karnataka, and Venkatam, Chintur and Nellore regions to Andhra. When the linguistic states were formed, there were movements called Samyukta Karnataka, United Kerala, Great Andhra Pradesh by the non-Tamils to seize the lands of the Tamils. But the Tamils fell for the treacherous Dravida Nadu agenda, which led to all the lands belonging to the Tamils being squandered by the strangers. The only relief was that Tirthani and Kanyakumari districts were acquired back, but only at the cost of Tamil activists, lives like Maposi and Marshal Nesamani. Acting as though fighting for justice for Tamil race, the leaders of the Dravidian movement abandoned Tamil Nadu at cruel times. These Dravidian leaders are solely responsible for the river problems of today's Tamil Nadu. The trick that the Telugu Annadurai brought to deceive the Tamils was the drama and the movie craze. The day we got mesmerized in the illusion of Tamil cinemas was the day Tamil slipped out of Tamil ownership. Annadurai, Karunanidhi, M.G. Ramachandran, Jayalalitha were not ethnic Tamils. Moreover, Telugus like Gopalasamy Naidu and Vijayakant Naidu started their own Dravidian parties to rise politically. Even the leadership of the Congress party that was in the power at the time of killing the Tamil people in Eelam was a Telugu. Not just the Dravidian party leaders, even the Marxist community party leaders are also Telugus. The Telugus who forcibly confiscated the land of Tamil people during the Palayapattu regime are now pretending to be benign and taking communist ideology, pretending to oppose the ruling class. The real aim of these Telugu communist leaders is to protect the millions of acres of Vadigar Hill farmland in Tamil Nadu. The Palayapattu regimes of Vadigas is the root cause of the poverty of the landless Mallar and Paraya Tamil communities. But this fact has been bluntly concealed by the communist leaders who for almost 50 years has been pushing for a single slogan to eliminate American imperialism, just to divert all the struggles of native Tamil people. Never ever has a Dalit has been elected as a leader in the All India Communist Politburo till today. This shows their true colors. They have been turning the ethnic problem in Tamil Nadu into a class problem. An example of this is the Keelvanmani Tamil massacre of 1968. In the village of Keelvanmani, a Telugu zamindar named Gopalakrishna Naidu burnt alive 44 people of Malla community living on his land as agricultural laborers. Most of them were women and children. The rule of Telugu Annadurai had given Gopalakrishna Naidu the guts to act so brutally that he burnt Tamils alive. This is the blatant racist act committed by minority Telugus. But to this day, the story is being told as a clash between the bourgeoisie and the working class. There is a malicious intention behind this proclamation that it is a clash issue. If the progressives exploit the workers of the same race, then it is a clash issue. But all the major employers and business owners in Tamil Nadu are Telugus, and all the workers are Tamil sons of the soil. How can this be a class problem? The Telugus pretend to be communists over selfishness only because they are well aware that Mallas and Parayas will revolt against Telugus if the atrocity of their regime are exposed. The Communist Party has turned into a camp for the Naidu landlords. The Communist Party of Tamil Nadu tread on a good path when Tamil stalwarts like Ayya Singara Velanar and People's Leader Jivanandam led the party. But that party became a Naidu Sangam the very day taken over by the Telugus. Thus the Telugus have the ruling party, the opposing party, left party under their control. They are staging a propaganda called elimination of the caste only in Tamil Nadu so that Tamils do not recognize them as Telugus. Without a caste title, it is difficult for the natives to recognize who is Tamil and who is Telugus. Telugus even changed their real name to suit the Tamil identity. Due to this, Tamils did not realize the fact that the ruling class in fact were Telugus. The Telugus of Madurai Nayak descent, who have long been the racial enemies of the Tamils, cloaked themselves in Dravidian disguise for retaining political power with themselves. Similarly, Telugus of Nayaka dynasty of Kandy are disguised as Sinhalese in Sri Lanka. It is the Telugus who defeated and enslaved the Tamils in Tamil Nadu and Aindham. Gopalasamy Naidu stood among commoners in remote villages to lecture on Greek and Roman history, but he never utters a word about the crypto-Telugu rule in Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka. His deepest fear is that the truth will be revealed about his and his race identity. Had the Telugu wished, they could have cooperated in forming an independent Tamil Eelam, but Telugus in the likes of Gopalasamy Naidu and Kovai Ramakrishnan Naidu stabbed the LTTE in the back by pretending to help the LTTE, knowing very well that it is the Telugu race that rules Sri Lanka. The genocide of Tamils would never have happened if the Telugu ruling class in Tamil Nadu directed the Telugu ruling class in Sri Lanka righteously. But they deliberately did not find the solution due to their prevailing deep-rooted racist attitude. The Telugus were aided and masterminded by the Brahmin Jews, the original arch-enemies of the Tamils. The Brahmin Jews, who are a minority in numbers, gauging that they could not defeat the majority Tamil themselves, had been taking the help of Vaduga kings in overthrowing the Tamils of this land.